Ed Miliband, the Energy and Net Zero Secretary, giving a £14.2 billion boost of your and my money to building 2 giant nuclear reactors at Sizewell in Suffolk. They're going to be capable of providing 6 million homes with electricity. Whether the wind doesn't blow or the sun doesn't shine, it doesn't matter. We'll still get that electricity. That's a good thing, isn't it? We should be welcoming that. Maybe we shouldn't bother with the solar panels and the wind turbines that don't work all the time and just stick with the electricity from the nuclear power stations. I wonder what my next guest thinks. He's Donnachadh McCarthy, Director of Climate Media Coalition. Donnachadh, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Julia. How are you?
Very well indeed. Like, you love a bit of clean energy. You live for clean energy, Donnachadh. Nuclear power, absolutely clean, renewable energy. What's not to like about this announcement?
Well, Julia, I think you and you especially, are very concerned, rightly, about wasting public funds. I cannot think of a single decision worse than spending £40 billion on a type of nuclear reactor that the EDF have completely failed to build one, yet on time or on budget. They're trying to build one at Hinkley Point. It's 15 years overdue.
Yep.
It's 3 times the cost. And
almost 4, they reckon, by the time it actually comes online.
So what the government has said, and Reform backing them, and the Tories have said, well, they've done a bad job in Hinkley Point. Let's do one in Sizewell, and let's not EDF pay for it, but let's the poor old taxpayer for it.
Yep.
I hope to God that you and I are on the same page on this.
No.
This is an insane waste of public money.
No, you said you can't think of a bigger waste of money. Yeah, I can. Wind turbines and solar panels and subsidies for so-called green renewable energy, which isn't reliable and secure. I mean, have you been to Portugal and Spain? Did you see what happened to them for 24 hours or so when they lost all their energy for that period of time because they were so reliant on renewables? That's what happens. Wouldn't it be better? Get rid of the coal. If you want electricity that's not reliant on gas, that's fine. Let's get it from nuclear power. It's clean, it's reliable, it's secure. What's not to like, Donnachadh? Let's spend the money on the stuff that works.
Well, I think it's really interesting. After years of listening to you, wasting public funds, you are proposing to go down the route of the most expensive electricity on the planet. One statistic is extraordinary. You aware of, about not Sizewell, Sellafield.
Yeah.
Sellafield is a closed nuclear power station. Do you know how much it is the source of 90% of our subsidy going to energy goes to a closed nuclear power station. It's got 12,000 people, Julia. 12,000 people working in Sellafield to try and stop it and keep it safe and stop it leaking. And they are failing. And so now we're going to produce another one that we're going to leave to our children to pay.
They always get the children in. You always get the children. Do you know what children like? Electricity that works all the time, so they can charge their phones.
Do you believe in investing in the most expensive?
Here's the thing. There's no doubt at all. We are really bad at every construction project in this country. There are 2 things we're really bad at. One is getting them through planning and getting them started in the first place. And the second is bringing them in on time and on cost. Now, our costs of building nuclear reactors are like 4 times of what it is in South Korea. It's the most expensive in the world. And one of the reasons it is because we're just bloody awful at this stuff in this country. But crucially also because we don't have the expertise. We have to import it in. So we stupidly don't go, hey, France, you've been building nuclear power stations for ages and you've got a template and you build them en masse. Can we have your template and then we'll just do exactly the same here? And then we don't build enough to get economies of scale. There are plenty of ways of making this cheaper, Donnachadh, but we need to build more of them to do that.
Julia, just have this conversation based on facts. Just take what you just said. You said, why don't we go to France, who build loads of nuclear power stations, ask them to come here, give us their expertise and build it. That is exactly what we did.
No, we didn't. Then we changed the plans.
ADF came over and they're building Hinkley. EDF have built 3 of these. One in Finland, one in Flammable in France, and one in Hinkley Point. EDF, the French company with all this expertise, has failed 3 times. Now, you talk about being dependable. What happened 2 years ago in France? 50%, nearly 80% of their energy comes from nuclear. 50% of their nuclear plant went down for different reasons, one of which was environmental. They ran out of water. Now, the reason why the planning inspector in this country said no to Sizewell, but was overruled by the Tories. They said there isn't enough water in East Anglia to supply Sizewell's sea.
Don't they use the sea?
They use 2 types of water. They use seawater for cooling.
We're running out of seawater now.
But no, they use seawater for cooling, but they use 2 million litres of water a day of fresh water for other uses to maintain the plant. And we don't have that in East Anglia. And the minister overruled it, which is insane, because that's why the plants went down in France. There are so many, and you talk about independence. Who controls the global budget for nuclear fuel?
Who controls it?
Russia.
Russia. Oh.
Russia and its minions.
Why?
Its satellite states. They control 60% of the uranium, and so they control the market. So therefore, it's not independent. But now you talk about
I thought China bought everything up.
No, it's Russia controls the uranium market.
But we're still going to be reliant on Russia, whatever fuels we have. And the problem is, of course, they decide they decide to cut cables in the North Sea from Norway, etc., etc. Here's the thing. No, let's come back. You made a lot of very good points. I completely understand.
Thank you.
Do I think that I know I've not said that many times before, have I, to you? Is nuclear power a good thing in principle? Yes. Is it a good thing in practice in most countries? Yes. Do we do things really badly, very slowly, and not often enough, and very expensively in this country? Yes, I accept all those points. However, we do need to have electricity. I know, Donnachadh, that you want us all to basically crouch down in caves over little fires for the rest of our lives, with our Hessian blankets over us. The rest of us want to lead 21st century lives with energy that's reliable. So.
My house is 21st century. Okay. In fact, my house is much more modern than yours, because my house provides its own electricity.
I live in a beautiful Victorian conversion. I'm very happy about
it. I live in a converted Victorian house as well. That has no electricity bill. I'd make a profit. Since February 15th, I haven't bought a single kilowatt of electricity because I have battery and solar. I want that for you. I want it for the country, and it's possible.
I don't.
In Germany and in Britain, since we increased, they all said if we take off coal, it'll become less dependable. Actually, the national grid said we have become more dependable the more renewables that we've had.
No, that's simply. We haven't because we can't store. Oh, we've had this conversation so many times, and the facts don't change.
We can't had no blackouts.
Store the energy. It's we had to buy, wasn't it like 20 million quid a minute or something ridiculous? We had to buy power from gas because we almost faced blackouts a few months ago.
Britain has expensive electricity because unlike other European countries, the marginal price of electricity is set 98% of the time by gas.
On the gas, yes. And again, we're reliant on global gas prices. Yada, yada. At the end of the day,
it's cheaper.
Donnachadh, put a full stop in it. Put a full stop in it. At the end of the day, if the sun always shone and if the wind always blew, and
it doesn't,
and if we could,
because at night time, solar power,
be quiet.
It heats my house and cooks my food.
If the sun always shone and the wind always blew, and we were able to store that solar and wind power as long as we wanted and travel, we can't and we don't, then that's great. But we can't and we don't. And you saw what happened in Spain and Portugal. What if that happened?
Donnachadh,
I'll shut up when you're speaking. If what had happened in Spain and Portugal had happened on a cold winter's night in England, what would we have done?
We have had blackouts in the last 5 years in Britain. What happened? It was a gas plant went down. 3 years ago.
But not as a point of deliberate policy.
We are more dependable.
Answer my question.
My answer is that the grid has become more dependable the more renewables that we've added. We've been saying for 15 years we'll have blackouts. It hasn't happened, but you're right.
It happened. It happened in Spain and Portugal.
We do need more storage. What I would do with this money...
it happened in Spain and Portugal. What would have happened if it had happened on a cold winter's night here?
It wasn't renewables in Spain and Portugal. We
It was.
don't know.
That's
It hasn't
exactly what
actually.
they.
There's
That's
been no
exactly what
official
it was.
account yet. There's no official account
That
saying what
is
it was.
exactly
But we
what
do
the
need
energy
to do
grid
that.
company, the energy grid bosses in
What I
Spain
would
and
like,
Portugal have said that's what it is.
what I would like to see happen in Britain is this 40 billion that government's wasting on a plant that has never worked in three other countries is to invest that money in insulation for people's homes, renewables for homes, and batteries. So we bring down the cost for homeowners. That's crucial. I think you should support that, not to support an energy that increases the bills. Nuclear increases home bills, honestly.
Honestly, Donnachadh, I think, with all due respect, I think you just make a lot of this stuff up. I really do. Donnachadh McCarthy, I have to leave it there. Times Against, Director of Climate Media Coalition.